Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 1st of July 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's morning session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few of the charts. Some of them we looked at on Friday as well, just to see how everything's going along there. But as always, before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then. So also just a very quick mentioning here of our JFD Bank YouTube page, where you can always subscribe, and just in order not to kind of miss any of the videos that we produce on a daily basis. So yep, feel free to do that, and we'll always be happy to see you in our webinars. Also a quick mentioning of our JFD research page as well, which you can find by going on JFD Bank and then clicking research, and check out our different analysis that we do on a daily basis as well. So also every Monday morning we produce a strategic report, which you can also subscribe to and get it through your email, and it's a more in-depth analysis of the upcoming week. So yep, feel free to do that. I believe you can find it useful, but for now, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is gold. So gold, I talked about this one last week, and basically, as you can see by the arrows that have shifted here, or should I say the chart that have shifted and passed some of these arrows. So basically, the commodity managed to travel all the way back below its psychological 1400 level now, and it seems that it wants to continue pushing a little bit lower. The only thing is that we're not gonna jump into those cells yet, because in a way the last resort here for the bulls, for the buyers, could be this upside support line taken from the low of the 30th of May. Now, if this line holds, if it remains intact, then we may see something like this happening, where we could see a nice rebound and a push back up. If something like this happens, then yep, we will aim for the psychological 1400 level, maybe just slightly above that, the 1402. But if that fails to hold, then yep, another push higher could be possible, especially if we see the commodity, the precious metal, traveling above the initially above the 1412 zone, and then above this one right here. And let me just quickly put this one on the chart, and then above the 1425 zone, approximately around there. Then yep, we will aim for these highs, the highs of last week near the 1439 zone. So good potential area initially. Like I said, we may see this one sliding further down a little bit, but again, up until we see a hit of this upside support line. If it holds, then yep, we could see a nice rebound and push higher again. If of course this line fails to withhold and we see a slide below this 1379 zone, then well, I mean, this could in a way open the path towards the 1358 or even below that. But initially we will target only the 1358 and see how that goes along, how it performs, and then we'll take it from there. For now, from the very short-term perspective, or even I could say for today, keep your eyes on this upside support support line. Let's see if it actually holds gold or not. Jumping into DXY, so the dollar index, so this is kind of in a way slightly coming in line with gold here. You can see that DXY is pushing higher, and what's interesting here is when I looked at this one last week, I told you guys to keep a close eye on this barrier right here near the 96.45. You can see that gold is now comfortably pushing above it. Oh, sorry, DXY is pushing comfortably above it, but of course this is just the beginning of the day. So let's see how this is going to continue traveling. If it continues to travel north, then yep, the next potential target is around the 96.58. but if that is just seen as a temporary kind of obstacle here for DXY, then yep, the next potential area of good resistance could be seen around the 96.80 zones, which marks the kind of it's marked by the intraday swing high here of the 20th of June. So good potential area. Of course, slightly above that we do have the 200 EMA, which also could come into play. But for now, let's keep it short and simple. Let's see what it wants to do with this 96.45. Does it want to stay above it? If it does, then we could see this one continuing in the upwards direction. And if this suddenly, let's say, reverses back down here, for us now, in order for us, let's say, to consider maybe the slightly lower areas, a drop below the 96.25 level right here could potentially open the path towards this little area of support near the 95.90 zone. So good potential area here. Of course, before hitting that, we could see a test of this 96 zone itself. So but like I said, slightly below that we do have that 95.90 zone, which in a way could be a nice potential area of support. But again, we will only consider downside if we see a drop below the 96.25 level. For now, it seems that the downside could be slightly off the table. Let's see if this one can continue pushing higher. In a way, actually, let me just adjust one of these levels here, guys. This is probably going to be irrelevant here right now. The more important one will be this one right here near the 96.68, approximately around there, because it also coincides with the 100 EMA here and is not far from today's R3. So that's why just a small correction here. The 96.68 could be a slightly better first initial target, and then again, like I said, slightly above that we do have the other potential area of resistance near the 96.80. So let's see how this is going to play out. For now, this seems to be more bullish than bearish. Let's see if it actually can, if DXY can keep it up. AUDJPY, I talked about this one last week as well, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this downside resistance line, which in a way got broken on on Friday, and we saw this one traveling a little bit higher this morning. During the Asian morning, we saw this one pushing to the upside, gapping up here, and but now you can see that it managed to fill the whole gap, and now it's kind of it tested this area here near the 75.62. I've mentioned this level previously, and it tested that level, and then kind of rebounded a little bit back to the upside. For now, I would probably say that we're going to be somewhat neutral in this one. To be honest, I mean, it kind of, you could find positive things here around because of a break of this downside resistance line, and of course the fact that the pair is now trading above the 200 EMA. It's above its pivot, today's pivot. So in a way, all this kind of points more to the upside rather than the downside. The only thing is that because this is a more of a market sentiment pair, so that's why be very careful. And probably what we're going to do here is we're going to take a more cautious approach, and we're going to wait until we see a push above the 76.39. This way the pair would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could then comfortably maybe target slightly higher levels like this one right here near the 77.25, 23 zone, something like that, and then we'll take it from there, see what it wants to do. But like I said, it's better to be safe than sorry, so that's why again, like I said, there's a lot of things that kind of support the upside here, given the fact that, like I said, the pair is above this downside resistance line, above the 200 EMA, and above its today's pivot. But like I said, just to be on that safe side. You could in a way start looking at some higher levels when, at around here near the 70, 75, 98, or in a way rounded up towards the 76 zone. So initially, like I said, you could start looking at some higher levels, but just for that better confirmation, a push above the 96.39 could open the path towards slightly higher levels. In terms of the downside here, well, as previously when I was looking at this one last week, and I was telling you guys, in order to kind of first, let's say, to consider further declines, we need to see a drop below this tentative upside support line, and of course above this area of support near the 74.75 level. So of course this still remains quite an important level for us, but from the very short-term perspective, what you could do here is probably keep an eye on some of these lows here near the 75.30. A drop below the 75.30 could potentially lead this one lower towards a possible test of this upside line, and then we'll take it from there, see what he wants to do. So in a way, like I said, from the short-term perspective, keep an eye on the 75.30. That's of course in terms of the downside. If this suddenly reverses back below this downside resistance line, the 200 EMA, then yep, the 75.30, that's the one that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. Jumping into GBPCHF very quickly. Now this is a very interesting one as well, because last week also I talked about this one, and I was telling you guys initially we were watching this area of support near the 1.2357, which acted as a fantastic area of support again, from which, as you can see, the pair rebounded and pushed higher. Now the pair is flirting with this other barrier that I also mentioned in my previous video, the 1.2474 zone, approximately around there. You can see that the pair got closer to it, and now it's kind of hanging around here, flirting with it. So in a way, if we see a push above this, or even let's say today we see at least close of the 4-hour candle above this, this might increase the chances for this pair to travel a little bit higher here. Aim for the 1.2587 or even this 200 EMA here, but of course slightly above that we do have a much better potential area of resistance, but we'll get to that later if we see a push above this level first, the 1.2474. Now also keep an eye on today's data. We do have the UK manufacturing figures coming out, and actually, by the way, before that, in a few minutes we will be getting the Swiss retail sales figures, year-on-year ones. So we may see maybe a bit of movement here on GBPCHF, but if we won't see any much movement, then, well, like I said, keep your eyes later on for today for the manufacturing PMI, UK manufacturing PMI figures. We'll see how that plays out. If this gets a nice boost, then we could see this one pushing higher, and as I said, we will aim for initially we could aim for today's R3, which is around the 1.2568, but slightly above that we do have that 1.2587 zone, which could play out nicely. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on, and I looked at this one last week on Friday, and basically this is what I was talking about, and as you can see, this upside line got broken, and the pair now kind of is traveling lower. What's interesting here is that the pair broke below this area near the 0.8940. So this was a kind of a key short-term level that we were keeping a close eye on. So as you can see, it broke it now to the downside. So this of course creates a more bearish scenario, at least in the short run. We could see this one traveling a little bit lower here. Now another good very close potential area of support here could be seen near the 0.8916 level. So previously, as you can see, that there's a very good area of resistance and support. So this level is going to be quite an important one for us. It also coincides with the 100 EMA here shown as a green line, and if that fails to withhold, now this is where it could turn out to be very interesting for the bears, at least in the short run. We could see this one sliding further down here towards the 0.8870, of course initially bypassing the 0.89 level itself, but the more important target for us then will become the 0.8870, marked by the lows of the 12th of June and also the 20th of June. So good potential target here, but again, like I said, be very careful. For now, of course, yes, it is kind of increasing the chances here for a further slide lower, and of course, given the fact that, well, it is quite overbought here, especially looking at this, that from the beginning of May, this had kind of continued to rally just strongly. And we saw this one kind of almost hitting the 0.90 level last week, but as you can see, it failed to drive above it, and failed to drive above the 0.8992 level, and kind of retraced back down. So in a way, also what I wanted to mention, that keep an eye on this potential kind of range formation. Now, I do understand we did have a kind of a break here, and in a way it's not a really clear range here, or should I say not an ideal range, but still, if this level right here, if the pair travels towards the 0.8870, but it fails to withhold, fails to kind of break below this, then we may see this one rebounding and pushing back up again. So that's why keep your eyes on this, like I said, this potential range for formation, this range pattern. Keep it in your head, keep it in the back of your head, just in case, like I said, this works out, and we could see this one pushing to the upside again. For now, of course, this is trying, you can see that the bears want to push this one further down. Let's see if they actually manage to take the pair all the way towards the 0.8916 level today. If they do, then it will be very interesting to see if actually they can continue kind of steering EURGBP further down, and maybe even actually like steering it all the way towards the 0.8870 level, the one that I've just mentioned. In terms of the downside, well, we're going to take a very conservative approach here and wait for a push, another push above the 0.8975. We're still keeping a close eye on this level. Again, a nice good break could open the path towards the 0.8992 level, 93 zone, and if that fails to withhold, then yep, a push. I mean, this is where actually we could then test the psychological 0.90 level and some levels above that. But for now, it is, like I said, moving lower. Let's see if it can continue drifting in that direction. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me later on at my trader's tea time, as always, that's 13:15 GMT time. For now, I hope you have a wonderful trading day, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.